Welcome to the World Blockchain Summit. I'm here in Dubai, came out for 5 days to the wonderful Atlantis, the Palms. It's really an amazing hotel and I'm glad to experience it. I'm going to be speaking today on Web3, blockchain, and how we got to where we're at today and where we're going in the future. Pretty cool to see everybody coming to the conference. It's just getting filled up here. We're getting ready for a great day.
On stage today, we're going to be hosting world-renowned speakers, entrepreneurs, change makers, professionals in the blockchain and technology industry, sharing their knowledge and expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, co-founder of SmartMedia Technologies and the co-founder of Tether. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up to Reeve Collins.
I wanted to first talk about new frontiers and what that means. The last 15 years, there's been an explosion of thought and technology, especially in the blockchain space. When you think about it, we've got the blockchain, stablecoins, smart contracts, ICOs, DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, DAOs, and Web3. And all of those things got us to where we're at today. But how do we navigate each of these new frontiers and translate them into opportunities through investment, utilization, trade, and market exposure? That's what I'm going to touch on today. My name is Reeve Collins, and I've been on the forefront of technology revolution since graduating college. I started my career in 1997 at a company called Avenue A Media. It was the first ever online advertising agency. We helped create the ad-supported internet. So it was an amazing ride to see this new technology truly change the world. And then I dove into the blockchain space in 2015. When it was first brought up to me, Bitcoin and blockchain, it took a long time for it to sink in and for me to really understand what the impact was and what the value was. But as soon as it did, I realized that this is going to be just as big of a revolution as the internet was. My first company was Tether. I was the co-founder and CEO, and we invented the stablecoin. And it turned out to be the most used cryptocurrency in the world, which still blows my mind to this day. This little startup in Santa Monica, California, with a couple of my buddies, and we just figured that why not put real-world currencies on the blockchain? The blockchain came out as a new way to move money. We might as well format dollars, euros, yen to do that exact same thing. Move money on a blockchain globally, instantly, and for free. But from there, I got out of that space because moving currencies is highly regulated. And being in that financial world, there presented a lot of challenges, especially back then when there was no regulation and no real insights into the best way to go about it and be perfectly legal. And so we came up with this concept. And I was the co-founder and CEO of BLOCKv, where we created the NFT. And this was before there was even a word for the NFT. I raised $22 million to create an ICO and built the first ever NFT platform. But that concept we created was, instead of moving financial transactions, let's create digital objects. Let's create something of value that can move on the blockchain that doesn't just represent currencies. From there, I co-founded and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of SmartMedia Technologies, which today is one of the most trusted Web3 enterprise platforms servicing global brands. And all of those things have just really made me even more excited to where we're at today. We're at the start of a revolution, a Web3 revolution. And to really dive in and understand how we got there, it's helpful to look at the timeline. This is a high-level timeline of crypto, of the cryptocurrency ecosystem over the last 14 years or so. We went from 0 to $3 trillion in about 14 years, where the internet, from about 95 to 2000, did it in 5 years. They went from 0 to about $6 trillion in those 5 years. And then the internet also had its bubble burst moment, and we kind of feel that a little bit because we just went from 3 trillion to 1 trillion in the last year. But we'll touch on why that's okay and why that's not really going to impact our future. The blockchain was introduced in 2008, but it took 5 more years for it to gain some recognition. CoinMarketCap didn't even record it until 2013 when Bitcoin hit $100. From there, it still took a few more years for the blockchain to become recognized by the majority of people. And then the pace of new advancements, of new technologies, of new developments rapidly accelerated. In the beginning, cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Crypto being a new type of money, blockchain being a new way to move that money. Then after that was Tether, We figured why not move real world currency, dollar, euros, yen, on the blockchain. This invention spawned hundreds of new exchanges. It enabled people to participate in the space in ways that never was possible before. Because back then, there was only a few currencies: Bitcoin, Litecoin, Doge, handful of others. And if you wanted to trade them, you had to trade your Bitcoin for Litecoin, two extremely volatile assets. Tether allowed you to have a dollar-based trading pair and to keep non-volatile dollars currency on the system within the blockchain. But from there, the next big advancement was smart contracts. Ethereum had its crowd sale in 2014. However, it took about till 2017 for real use cases to emerge. It took a while for people to figure out what this smart contract's going to do. Because all a smart contract was a more complex way to do a transaction on the blockchain. The blockchain enabled you to move a token from one wallet to the other. A smart contract lets you do more complex things. So the first use case came out, and that, you think, is ICOs. However, the real nature of it was gambling. You know, we did call it ICOs at the time, but it truly was gambling. Now we had this global access to a new way for people to put money into a system, to send their Ethereum to a new company and get a new token and hope that it goes up in value. And that spurned thousands of ICOs and lots of involvement, excitement, money, and investment into this industry that created a lot of advancements. But then there was the crash. The one thing I like about this chart so much that shows how big of an industry that we're playing in is that each one of those lines is $1 trillion. So while it looks like it's pretty smooth for those first 4 years, it's because it's so far zoomed out. This has always been a bumpy ride. But the first really big crash came after that ICO peak when people realized that it really was gambling and they were losing a lot of money. However, all that money that was poured in there created a lot of innovation over those next few years. And then we get to 2020, where we have the next big invention. You think DeFi, but in reality, it's gambling again. Because the first, DeFi really got kickstarted by tokens which would pay extremely high yields. It would attract a lot of investors. Creators would dump the tokens and move on to another project. But there was a game, and people enjoyed playing it. The game was get in and get out before the rug was pulled. However, that's okay, because a lot of great inventions and great innovations came from DeFi. Some really solid foundation for new products that will be developed and delivered to us in the future that will add or that will enable more global inclusion to financial services. The best example of DeFi is a really simple one. Think about how difficult it's been to get a loan. It takes a couple months, you fill out a lot of paperwork, and you have to have great credit. Well, once DeFi came and automated that process, and enabled you to post some collateral online, you could get loans in minutes. It's never happened before, and that's just one example of all of the financial services that are going to be automated through DeFi and then available to all. And then right on the heels of the DeFi excitement came NFTs. However, that big thing wasn't NFTs, it was gambling once more. And the really funny thing to me is because I created this NFT technology back in 2015, we really thought about what these digital goods would do. We never thought that buying and selling and flipping images was going to be what made global awareness and global adoption happen. We thought it'd be NFTs with real utility. However, as we've just learned from the last few innovations, the world loves to gamble, and that's okay because it brings attention and it brings excitement and it brings adoption to these new technologies. And right on the heels of the NFT came the metaverse. You started hearing about it after this frenzy. A lot of people would say they didn't get NFTs, and I'm telling them because you're overthinking it. You're like, why are people buying images? No one understood that it's because they're gambling, they're just doing it for a profit. But what they don't realize is that we've only scratched the surface on the use cases of NFTs, and they're going to be the most important building blocks of our financial future. So right after the NFTs was the metaverse, and the one reason why we started talking about the metaverse is because now you have all these digital objects. People are placing value on digital objects and in their wallets, and now they want a better place to interact with them. That's the metaverse, a concept that we've been using for 20 years in the gaming space. It's now crossed into mainstream applications. But see, Metaverse 1.0 won't be Ready Player One. It won't be this immersive environment, this big world that everybody goes into. Metaverse 1.0 is simply an upgrade to your current website. Most websites are two-dimensional. Now you'll go to a website, you'll click a button that says come inside, it will become immersive. You'll be able to interact with salespeople. You'll be able to go shopping with a friend. You'll be able to meet celebrities, athletes, go to a concert. But it will all be on that website. It's far in the future when you'll have this big immersive world where you're running around in thousands of different stores with people from all around the world. The very first applications will just be upgrades to websites. So when people say, is the metaverse really happening? Is it here? Is it hype? It is happening. And it's really going to change the way you surf the internet because you'll have a much more engaging and interactive experience in all the websites that you go. Just like back in the 90s when people said, oh, do you need a website? Turned out everybody did. Very soon, everyone will need a metaverse because it'll be a better way and a better experience for users to interact with your content. Then right after the metaverse, COVID. We lost another $1 trillion, disappeared from the marketplace. However, the US government started putting in trillions of dollars, which pumped up these global markets. And it made the rise of another $1 trillion back to $3 trillion. And then we really had this peak. And that's when we started hearing about Web3. Why is that? Because Web3 is a combination of all these technologies, Tether, smart contracts, ICOs, DeFi, NFTs, metaverse. That's what's delivering Web3. And also the change in consumer behavior. People now understood wallets and placed value on digital goods. And so that's going to enable this new world of Web3. However, then the market crashed. What happened? Well, a few things. Some of these DeFi experiments failed. There was a $40 billion algorithmic stablecoin that was an experiment. It failed. And it had a knockdown effect and took down a lot of other companies. That coupled with the global issues that we're all facing. We really saw a wipeout of $2 trillion. So it's very akin to the dot-com bubble. The important thing to note, though, is even though it burst, all of the money which was poured into these tech companies during the boom created an infrastructure, an economic foundation that allowed the internet to mature even though it had a spectacular crash. So yes, crypto just experienced its spectacular crash, and $2 trillion worth of value disappeared. However, we have now laid the foundation for the evolution of the internet to occur. So why Web3? Web3 is really important because you can't stop progress. It's the evolution of all that's come before it. People are now familiar with their digital wallets. They now place value on digital objects, NFTs. One of the most expensive endeavors for any company is to change consumer behavior. We just witnessed an entire industry doing that for us on a global scale. The whole world knows what QR codes are, wallets are, and they place value on digital objects. So now it's time for us, as entrepreneurs, as investors, as leaders, to provide products and services that cater to this new behavior. Some people think, will Web3 fail, or that it won't happen? What they don't realize is that it's inevitable. It cannot be stopped. While we don't know exactly how it will take shape, we know it will happen. A new internet is coming, and now is your chance to contribute to it. So what exactly is Web3? The concept was first floated in 2014 by Gavin Wood, one of the first co-founders of Ethereum. It took a few years for it to really gain momentum. But now here's where we are. Web 1, read-only. Information was put out there for the whole world to see. Web 2, groups of people started forming around that information, leading to social networks, which enabled people to write information online. The dark side to this is that a few companies ended up owning all of user data and information that they contributed to the system. And those companies became some of the most powerful companies in the world. So now enter Web 3. It gives the power back to the users so they can own all of their own information. And that also brings us to the next killer app. How do we get to Web 3? You need the wallet. The wallet will allow users to store your money, store digital objects, and personal data. The wallets will allow us to receive value for our actions online. Whereas in the past, FANG got all the money. FANG, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. They sucked out all the value and gave us nothing except for entertainment. But now we have the technology to get that value. So today, Web3 is more important than ever. Take a look at the world around you. We're experiencing FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's due to the markets, the economy, the climate, COVID. The biggest global economic disruptor at the moment is the war in Ukraine. It's painful. It's been 8 months, but that impact will be felt for a lifetime. It's ending globalization as we know it. Globalization has been a key economic driver since World War II, and it's crumbling before our eyes. We're feeling the pain of the status quo shifting. But that's okay. There's a light on the end of that horizon. There's a new type of globalization will be created, and blockchain and Web3 applications will play significant roles in this new world order. So how do we get there? How do we help in this transition? Everyone has already taken the first step by showing up and being involved. So all we can do is keep contributing to this incredible ecosystem and watch the world change before our eyes. My main contribution to the Web3 movement takes the form of SmartMedia Technologies, an enterprise Web3 platform. We provide wallets, NFTs, and metaverse infrastructure to large global organizations. Today I've talked a lot about where the future is going, where end users will own their own data and monetize all of their actions online. However, we still need to take baby steps to get there. The first use cases will revolve around one-to-one connection from brands to consumers. Think about digital advertising. Over $100 billion a year is spent in online advertising. Where does it go? Most of that money, half of it goes to planning and buying and the technology to deliver ads. The other half goes to websites to put the ads in front of you. And what do we all get? We get annoyed. You get bombarded with ads at all times. That's gonna change. Web3 technology, the killer app, the wallet, is gonna enable brands to actually provide value directly to consumers. Instead of putting that $100 billion in the pockets of middlemen, Web3 will deliver on the promise of blockchain technology, which is eliminate the middlemen, and allow that money to go right into the consumer's pocket, give us a better way to experience the internet, a better way to capture value, and a better way to live in this world. Thank you guys very much for having me. People very much appreciated the history of where cryptocurrency has come from, to understand all the technological advances, and then how those all add up to Web3 and the future that is in front of us, the shifting in technology and us stepping into this new world that Web3 is going to offer us, an entire evolution of the internet.